He's waited for this night. He's waited for me. I've waited for him. Here's your look at the new NECA Toys Halloween Ultimate Laurie Strode. It's been 40 years since Laurie Strode survived a vicious attack from crazed killer Michael Myers on Halloween night. She now faces a terrifying showdown when Michael returns to Haddonfield, but this time, Laurie is ready for him. Figure includes a shotgun, a rifle, a revolver, a knife, a sheath, and 2 interchangeable heads. To tell you I've been anxiously awaiting the release of Laurie Strode is an understatement. Laurie Strode really, for me, was one of the must-haves for this year's releases from the folks over at NECA Toys. I can't wait to have a closer look at the figure and showcase Laurie Strode for you guys. But obviously, before we do anything, I'm going to have to measure off. It's my duties as a reviewer to provide you guys as much information and 411 as I can. And the best place to start with the 411 is providing you with the height of the figure. Laurie Strode stands at 6.1 inches in height, which in centimeters translates exactly to 17 centimeters tall. And obviously you guys are going to want to have some size comparisons, some comparisons with her former brother, not really so much something establishing in this movie, other than just kind of a throw out there, like nod to the original sequels. But even though it's not her brother anymore, here's what Laurie Strode looks like standing next to Michael Myers. Now, obviously, Halloween, the newest Halloween, is only really just a sequel to the original film. So we sort of can scrap out all the other things that existed after the very first film, the burning of Michael Myers. Obviously, the fact that they are tied together by blood, and obviously for the fact that she had her daughter, Jamie, and then subsequently, she never also had her son in H2O. So pretty much we're kind of wiping the slate clean. But nonetheless, here's a size comparison of Laurie Strode with crazed killer Michael Myers. No relations whatsoever. Personally, I'm a little upset the fact that they couldn't have tied together their blood relations a little bit better. That was really one of the things that sold Halloween to me as one of my favorite horror franchises, was the fact that you had unstoppable bloodline, the fact that you would have a brother constantly pursuing you, never really leaving you alone until he finally was able to kill you. And kind of removing that, keeping, I guess, retracting it back to Michael's mystery, I suppose, is good. But personally, I'm all for having them related. That's just me. Anyways, we're not going to get into this video and discuss a whole rant about how our feelings were about how they handled the original or the new Halloween film, other than just saying it's good. It's a good time to be a new Halloween fan. We've gotten just recently the new Halloween film, and now we're hearing that we're getting a Halloween 2, which I think is slated for 2020 release. So again, it's a great time to be a Halloween fan. Let's talk about why it's also a great time to be a Halloween fan. The fact that NECA Toys finally give us a Laurie Strode, like one of those yes moments, something of which, like, Laurie to Michael is Nancy to Freddy, and hopefully this opens the doorways that the foil for a lot of these horror icons, maybe we'll start seeing some appearances. Maybe we'll get ourselves a Tommy Jarvis, maybe we'll get ourselves a Nancy, who knows? But we don't want to get to ourselves too ahead of the game. We're going to have a look at the accessories that come included with the figure. I've got this little fibrous hair right there. The accessories that come included with Laurie is a rifle. And the rifle, as you can see there, they've kind of painted in the indication of a wood grain on the handle. And equally so, there's a little bit of that wood grain done to the middle section right before it gets to the barrel. I guess the barrel would still be along the top there. Some nice aging done to it, so it looks like it's weathered and it's old, and I'm all for that. Could they have put also a little bit of that also in the handle? Perhaps, yes, but overall I'm just happy the fact that we get a nice dry brushing of silver added to her rifle. And all of these accessories obviously can be wielded quite easily because she's been training for this night to happen once again. All of them can be held in her hand. I'll show you that in a second. The other accessories that come included with Laurie Strode is she also comes with a shotgun. Probably my go-to, I think, when it comes to displaying the figure. I kind of like the idea of her wielding the shotgun myself. The shotgun looks like it's been cast solely in black plastic. There's a little bit of a silver added in there just to break up the otherwise just black treatment from handle to the end of the barrel. None of this actually does function and work, but it's realistic enough and it fits perfectly with the figure. I'll show you again how that puts into her hand. Speaking of hands, Laurie also comes included with a gripping hand, ideally suited for things such as like the revolver. I guess you could really have the revolver in her trigger finger hand, but she also can be holding a knife, and that's probably why this hand is included, just to hold the knife. Speaking of holding the knife, why don't I hold the knife right now? She does also come included with like a little survival knife, a serrated knife, which has its own fair bit of aging, kind of weathering done to the blade. Like, it doesn't look like these are new things that she has acquired. She has been stacking her arsenal for many years, many decades, really waiting for this moment to happen. The handle is done in solely black plastic, and you get a good generous amount of painting added to the actual blade portion. The one thing about this is you can either display it in her hand, or rather, if you want to be using that hand for more ammunition firing weapons, then of course you could put this also, let me just grab the figure right here, you can also put it in her supplied sheath, and that just fits. Kind of have to move, unfortunately, her arm. You kind of have to move her jacket out of the way, and the knife just fits into the sheath, just like so. The one thing I am, though, is I probably will not display the figure indefinitely with the knife in the sheath. For starters, it's very difficult to kind of get the knife in there. But also, the thing that concerns me is that the sheath sits so very snug and close to the side of her thigh. If you are bending the figure's legs, for example, something of which I'm going to be doing in this review, the sheath, I just don't want it to bend, and I obviously just don't want to break the knife. As you can see, though, it's a little tricky, little difficult to get the blade in there, because the whole time the jacket just wants to be there. It just wants to hang out. It's like your brother. You have to go somewhere. The mother says, why don't you bring your brother with you? I don't want to bring my brother with me, but there's the knife in the sheath, fully in there. Again, I'm just probably not going to permanently keep it in there, just because it's more in the way having it there than I think leaving it off. I mean, really, from the jacket being closed, I can pretend for the fact that the knife is there. I don't think I necessarily need to always include it there, unless I want to display the figure, having her jacket kind of brought back a little bit, but I don't know anybody would necessarily want to do that. So we'll get the blade out before we break it. We don't want to certainly break that. Put that to the side. And then, you know what? While we're actually holding Laurie, we'll look at the other thing that comes included with the figure, and that is a revolver. Some nice aging done also to the handle. A consistent trend, it seems, that this humbled reviewer is telling you that there's aging and weathering. All the pieces have been very meticulously painted from the folks over at NECA Toys. Even like the barrel around the revolver have been given like a brushing of darker color. Again, really just adds in little pops of color. Just a little bit extra depth, actually, than anything else. So let's start by adding some of these accessories to her hand. Seeing as we just finished looking at the revolver, why don't we start there as our first place. Now, she does have the trigger finger, so that's ideally suited for hitting almost the triggers on some of these. It kind of just rests around the trigger, not necessarily in the trigger. It may involve just kind of push it back a little bit. But the finger isn't something that, if I can show you, it doesn't stretch far enough this way to fully sit inside this section, but again, like, it just kind of rests against the trigger. I think that's really ideally where it would need to be. She's not going to be firing off, even though she's a little crazy in the film. But there's the revolver in her hand, and while we're also at it, as promised, go ahead and get the rifle. For all of the things I'm doing right now, I'd be more inclined to just, again, keep this particular hand in place. Again, I would only really swap to this hand if I want to have her holding the knife. And the chances of her holding the knife on a display in this house, no way, Jose. If she's got firepower like this, gosh darn it, I'm going to be displaying the figure with firepower in her hand. And I guess really you could put dual firepower in both hands. You could put the shotgun on this hand, but you'll see one thing that kind of stops that immediately, and that's the fact that she has this really wide hand. Doesn't really give a reasoning other than for the fact that if you wanted to have her, for example, resting her hand against, say, the rifle or against, say, the shotgun, that would explain why she's got a larger kind of clamp, like a claw clamp hand there. Just kind of really ideally suited for holding like the undercarriage of the gun rather than actually holding the gun. You'll kind of see it more so when we go ahead and take the rifle off and we swap it out, swapsies out for the shotgun. Now actually the trigger finger fits rather well just right where the trigger would be on the shotgun. And again, my preferred method of displaying this figure, because yeah, she is going to be displayed in my collection. I'm probably going to display her like this. And you can really see right away why that hand has to be as wide as it is, just so it can fit the actual cocking mechanism of the shotgun. Spent a lot of time talking about accessories. There's one more. And depending on really how you decide you want to display the figure, this could really be a pivotal change in how, again, you display the figure based on the fact that she does have two interchangeable heads. Now, first glance, it seems like they're relatively close to one another. Further inspection, still feel like they're not that much different from one another. Like the hair seems very similar. The face seems very similar. Maybe an ideal time that they could have given a little bit more of an expression on one face versus the other, so it didn't simply just look like it was the exact same face, just with the inclusion of the glasses. Yes, this one does have glasses. You can kind of see how they're attached to her eyes. Very like clear plastic, so something you got to be careful with, especially when it comes to changing out the head. You don't want to put your thumb against the glass and push down as I normally do that with heads. If I'm pulling off the head, I'll put my thumb right there. I'm not going to necessarily chip off the paint. But here with a case of glasses, you got to be really, really careful that you don't accidentally push down on the glasses and break them in the process. Entirely up to you then which way you want to display the figure. You know what? I kind of like the glasses look myself, but I mean, that's just my own opinion. Changing out the heads couldn't be any bit simpler. You're just going to grab the torso, just kind of wiggle this off. Get a good last look at this head sculpt. As good as the head sculpt is, I think moving forward for display purposes and for this review, I'll probably end up displaying her with the glasses. I just kind of like the glasses a little bit more. Just a little bit of a twist, just a little bit of a push, and you've got the new head sculpt in place. Okay, one more time for the person out there that really likes the non-glasses look. Let me know down below which look you prefer, non-glasses versus glasses Laurie. I'll put that to the side. So yes, the glasses look is really the look I'm going to end up probably going with. As for the rest of Laurie's outfit, she is wearing a kind of like a bomber jacket. It's kind of like a dark gray color, some nice silver accents there on the buttons and the snaps, and then she's also got the silver there on the zipper. The unfortunate end of it, though, is she is fully finished on the side, giving her just a straight out shirt, a blue shirt, and she's also got a little cross right there. There's also like a little extra necklace there, a little extra fluff right there. Let me just take that off from the necklace, and she does, like I said, have the little cross there. I would have loved to really have seen, I mean, I know NECA has already included like the cat's meow, like really all the stuff, cat's meow, all the stuff that they included. Like the various rifles, the shotguns, and all the other stuff, and of course the interchangeable head. That is a big factor as well, the fact that she has the interchangeable head. Would have loved also the fact that they could have given us interchangeable arms too. Something then, if you wanted to take the jacket off, you could have done that and utilized then sleeves. You can't really take the jacket off even though it's made of a softer plastic, simply because, yeah, the arms are still going to be part of the jacket. Nice, really clean looking sculpt. I mean, very well executed. She's got her kind of hiking boots going on there with some silver around the looplet sections in which the laces are fed through. It's not the actual term. Somebody once told me what the term was for the little looplets that the laces feed through. I suppose I could easily just Google that, but I'm not too interested to know right out at this moment what those little looplets are called, so we're just going to push forward. She was wearing a black pair of slacks, a light brown belt with the actual fastener section of the actual area in which you feed the belt through is done in silver, and we've already looked at the sheath, which is presented there on the side. There's the back of what the figure will look like. Again, it's just a really neat looking figure. I'm humbled by the fact that for the longest time I've asked, kind of not necessarily directly to them, but kind of asked the universe. I wish NECA would go back to the Halloween franchise, give us updated takes on Michael Myers through the various different years. Those answers, I think, even tweeting to NECA the fact that I would love to have seen new Michael Myers figures was quickly met with it's not something that we're looking at right at the bat. And then of course the story as it goes, we eventually got ourselves the new Halloween, and with the new Halloween we got ourselves a new Michael Myers, and we got a slightly more aged Jamie Lee Curtis returning back to her role. And a kudos, by the way, to Jamie Lee Curtis, though I know she doesn't necessarily watch these videos, but a big thank you for the fact that she would come back, reprise her role. That was really like the icing on the cake. The fact that you could cement the film by actually putting a legitimate actress returning back to the role instead of just casting a bunch of unknowns, and to hopefully propel the series moving forward. I think by putting Jamie Lee Curtis as the front runner for that film really made it seem legitimate, and I really, again, can't thank her enough for that. I can't thank also NECA enough for the fact that we are getting Michael Myers and a Laurie Strode of all things. It has been asked before if NECA is planning on doing any more Michael Myers figures, to which they kind of said in so many words, as sometimes they say in so many words. We're only really looking at the new Halloween film, but now we are getting ourselves the Dick Warlock Halloween 2 Michael Myers, so hopefully that opens the door not only for future Michael Myers, but I would love to see other Laurie Strodes as well. I mean, really the ones for me, the original Laurie Strode, obviously from Halloween 1, H2O Laurie Strode, which would have obviously the shorter hair, and then now we would have like the newest Laurie Strode from 2018. Those are the ones that I would love to get. I mean, obviously, like Hospital Laurie Strode from Halloween 2, again, like opening the door for future figures. But for Laurie Strode's, if hopefully they got the license for Jamie Lee Curtis's likeness finally, and hopefully they can get the acquired licensing for all the other Halloween films. Maybe this may not be the last of Jamie Lee Curtis, and I'm not just talking about the fact that we are getting ourselves a Halloween 2. So excited for that. Maybe we'll get ourselves future Laurie Strode figures as well. Anyways, let's have a look at her articulation. You can see that I'm just booming for the fact that we are getting... Is my glow pulsating from my skin? The fact that we actually have that physically in hand. I'm looking and showing you guys a Laurie Strode figure. A day I never thought would be possible. The head rotates all the way around for articulation. I'm trying to get back on target. Producers are saying like you're wandering off. I know I'm wandering off. Articulation though on Laurie Strode, her head rotates all the way around. Her head hinges more down than it does up. For up, that's basically as much as you're going to get. And then also rocks slightly back and forth. The upper torso does have a ball joint, and then she does have a secondary ball joint where the torso attaches to the waist or to the belt section. The jacket doesn't seem to limit it too much. You can still get, like I said, the slightly full articulation, more so here than I find up in the mid-torso section. Here you're just kind of have to get your finger in there and twist it manually. But the fact that she does have as much articulation there is really great, like that. Shoulders hinge out, and you can also rotate the arms all the way around. She has not one, but two bends, independent bends in the elbows. So you can kind of get like almost a full bend, a little bit more than a 90-degree angle. The hands rotate all the way around, and you can also hinge them back and forth. As for the legs, they split out via a ball joint, you can probably see in there. Forward and back on the legs. a swivel on the top cut of the thigh. Did I actually clip? Oh, I did clip. I think it pegs into place the sheath. We'll have to go back and revisit that. Swivel on the thigh, a single hinge, I should say, on the knee, a rotation on the leg, and a swivel and hinge on the foot up and down. While I ponder the idea of having to put that sheath back in place, that's a real shame. I guess I just had applied too much pressure here when I was moving the legs back and forth. Other than for the sheath that we will have to look at right after we wrap up this part of this review, other than that, I'm very much smitten by the idea that we got ourselves Laurie Strode. I don't know, a lot of times it usually either will be the factor of either getting the license for the film acquired, or in this case, sometimes it may be the likeness of the actress that they're waiting for. And one of the reasonings why, like companies like NECA, for example, simply just can't release every single character that you've seen in films. Just because you love that character and would love to see an incarnation of that character in plastic form, it's not always something that companies are able to do, unless all those like legalities are able to be acquired first and foremost. Once now all the I's have been dotted and T's have been crossed, we've now got ourselves a Laurie Strode. Finally, a foil, a much needed foil for Michael Myers, which was already released from NECA Toys. And we can wrap up this review with some really good pieces of news. The main big piece of news is obviously for the fact that we finally get ourselves a Laurie Strode from NECA Toys. Long overdue, if you ask me. I know they wanted to do it, and companies obviously want to do a lot of things that will make collectors happy, but often you just get tied up with the red tape. And I understand that NECA Toys probably was wanting to do a Laurie for a while and just had to make sure that all the stuff was in place before they actually could do that. The other smaller piece of news was the fact that I was able to put the sheath back into her leg. It seems actually it was just a case that the peg came loose. It fits into her thigh via kind of a chunky L-shaped peg. Likelihood, the little bit of glue that they put into the sheath probably just came a little bit loose. So I think a little bit of TLC and some glue later. I'll get that all back into place. But in the meantime, it pegged back fine. I will put a little bit of glue in there just to ensure that that sheath doesn't fall out again. Not for the fact that I plan on putting the knife in there, but just because it looks nice peeking out from the bottom side of her jacket. This is, again, a great time to be a Halloween fan. NECA Toys has answered the call by giving us something that we've wanted for years, a Michael Myers. It took only the re-release, the reappearance, if you will, of Michael Myers and Laurie Strode in theaters for NECA Toys to be able to give us a Michael Myers. Then after that, we got ourselves an Ultimate Laurie Strode, and while we did think that that was the end of it, NECA Toys, of all things, surprised us with a Dick Warlock Michael Myers with the bloodied eyes. That is something that's going to be coming out at a later date. So maybe there is a good ankle and a good chance that NECA Toys will be planning further Michael Myers figure releases. It's just a case that they have had to kind of work out all the legalities up to this point. You know, again, dotting all those T's and crossing all those T's and dotting all those I's. Some good news, though, if you guys are a fan of Laurie Strode, a fan of Michael Myers, and a fan of Halloween's, and have been so anxiously awaiting the return of Laurie to film and to figure form, even though this is the first Laurie Strode that we've gotten. Good news is you should be able to find Laurie Strode right now at comic book stores. So good luck if you guys are interested in picking this one up for yourself. You can also head over to www.comicshoplocator.com if you can't find a comic book store in your area. But I think Laurie Strode should also be available in places like Target or Toys R Us. If you have Toys R Us in your area, US is apparently slated to get the re-return of Toys R Us. So there's a lot of returns. Laurie is returned. Michael Myers is returned. Toys R Us is returned or is returning, and NECA is still here, churning out some fantastic figures. Today we were having a look, and I was so anxious to get this review done. You have no idea. Probably could tell in this review. Today we were having a look at the brand new NECA Toys, fresh, squeaky clean, the Halloween Ultimate Laurie Strode. And does it look good? Let's hope we get another couple of Laurie Strodes, H2O, and the original Halloween Laurie Strode, maybe with the pumpkin. And also, like, the hospital Laurie Strode. Okay, then do like Jamie. Okay, I'm falling into that category of collectors that are happy with one thing and then they want something else. And I'm just so happy, again, thrilled that we finally get ourselves Laurie Strode. We're going to wrap this up. Producers are telling me wrapping it up, you're stretching this way too far out. So I'm just going to say, if you guys are a fan of Halloween and a fan of Laurie Strode, you definitely would want to be adding this one to your collection. Okay, I'm done, guys. I'm done. I'm done, I promise. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't done so already. Turn on your bell notifications if you haven't done so already. And future NECA reviews will be coming soon to this channel, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next time.